Greetings, viewers of the channel about the abandoned and more. Pospokatushki. I'm Pavel Kineev, and today we're in Saint Petersburg on Aptekarsky Island, exploring the church of the Transfiguration of the Lord of the Life Guards Grenadier Regiment. This is the only surviving church in the city that was designed by Konstantin Ton, as all his other churches were destroyed during the Soviet era. Ton was also the architect of the original Cathedral of Christ the Savior in Moscow, and the founder of the Russian-Byzantine style, which this here church exemplifies. The history of this church begins in 1839, when Emperor Nicholas I approved a new design for a single outer church to accommodate the growing parish. Construction began in the spring of 1840, and the church was consecrated on September 16, 1845, in honor of the Transfiguration of the Lord. In 1873, by order of the Emperor, the Holy Synod transferred the church to the Life Guards Grenadier Regiment, though it remained a parish church. Jumping ahead, the church underwent significant reconstruction during the Soviet period, yet if you look closely, traces of its original layout and decor can still be found. For example, if we take a look inside of this nondescript closet near the third floor entrance, we can find the original vault. And if we go a little further inside the main hall, an even more remarkable sight awaits: the work of Karl Pavlovich Brylov himself. He painted the four icons of the evangelists in the medallions of the central vault, though only one, Saint Mark, survives today. The four icons of the evangelists in the large medallions of the main vault, painted in oil and plaster, are the only works of their kind by Karl Brylov. Despite the vault's height, attempts were made to copy them, but artists found nothing comparable in composition, expression, color harmony, or other merits. This description from a 1978 historical statistical account of the Saint Petersburg diocese underscores their value. Yet by the 1920s, the church was shuttered. In 1930, it was converted into a laboratory for the Leningrad Electrotechnical Institute, its domes demolished, the iconostasis destroyed, and murals painted over. These pictures capture that bleak chapter. Only the surviving stucco hints at its former grandeur. During renovations, all interior spaces were reconfigured, like the staircase, a modern addition absent from the original plan. On the second floor of the renovated church, there were laboratories for the university's electroacoustics department. Recent clearing efforts have revealed fascinating details. Firstly, the vaulted arch which we have seen, and most interestingly, the Arch of the Royal Gates. In addition, the reinforced floors and walls that were added during World War II were discovered, when the church served as the headquarters of Admiral V, commander of the Baltic Fleet. During the war, the church was converted to command quarters, with telegraph and telephone communications connecting it directly to Stalin's Supreme High Command. After the war was over, LETI, the university which took ownership of the church, still used it as a laboratory building. And only in 2006, on the 31st of March, it was returned to Saint Petersburg diocese. At the moment, the restoration work which is taking place aims to peel back layers of alteration. They went as far as to change the windows of the church, which were cut into decorative elements, and reverting these changes would bring back at least a semblance of its original appearance. By the way, since this church at a point in time was connected to the Imperial military, it is only fair that it once housed relics of the Life Guards Grenadier Regiment, such as rewards, regimental banners, and, of course, commemoration of those who died in battle. For example, this restored plaque commemorates grenadiers buried here after the Galician battle, where the regiment suffered heavy losses. It was decided to bury officers who perished in battle here, in this very crypt. Whether the officers still rest here is uncertain. During the days of its use as a laboratory building, it was initially used as the laboratory pool, and during the war, as the bathing chambers for the soldiers of the Red Army. If you look closely, you can still see the remnants of the bathroom tiles of the Soviet days. Today it stores technical equipment, although it is worth mentioning that archaeological excavations are currently underway to determine whether the fallen soldiers are still here, and if their final resting place remains undisturbed. It is also worth mentioning that this crypt has a path that leads to an old bunker. It is sadly currently unavailable to idle observers, at least the inside of it anyway, but there are plans to reinstate it as a part of a public installation, which would in turn allow to go in depth into the history of this church, said bunker, and the connection between them. It is worth mentioning that this bunker was built under extreme conditions. As some of you may know, during the Second World War, Saint Petersburg, Leningrad at the time, was under a blockade, so proper construction resources such as cement or iron were in short supply. The defenders had to use improvised materials at the time, but it paid off since the Germans didn't discover this bunker right until the end of the war. Nowadays this bunker exists under the care of the Museum of the Blockade and the Defense of Leningrad. With this in mind, it is worthwhile to thank all those volunteers who took care of it before the museum decided to so graciously take this installation under their wing. This complex, the church, the bunker, embodies multiple eras, which an idle bystander can equally learn from. The heritage of the empire with its lust for glory and beauty, and the artists of the time willing to fulfill that ambition, and to die for it, if need be. The scientists, the engineers and the workers of the Soviet Union building a better future, no matter how horrible the cost. And through it all, this church stood. Granted, it's not in its best shape, but the restoration efforts are currently underway, with a focus on Brylov's paintings. In case you find yourself curious about the current state of affairs of the church, you can visit their site, the link is in the description, or if you one day find yourself on Aptekarsky Island, and with a bit of spare time, you are always welcome to pay it a visit. And since that's about it for today, I will now only modestly ask you to leave a like, share and subscribe, in case you enjoyed the video.